Chucker, eh?
How's it going, everyone? I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, and this is the Sharp Hand Path. Today we have kind of a 3-film spotlight that I want to go over because they are not the greatest films, that's for sure. And I feel like these are films that have an awesome title. It has nothing to do with the film except one part in one of the films kind of makes sense with the title. And if you've seen the name of this video, you'll understand. But yeah, the 3 films I'm going to talk about here, technically 4, because this has 2 films on it. This has Day of the Panther and Strike of the Panther. Strike of the Panther pretty much sums up the entire film of Day of the Panther, so you don't really need to watch the first one in order to get the second one or understand what's happening. This is definitely not one that I've ever seen anyone talk about. This is from the 70s, I believe, but this is the 2019 re-release on Blu-ray double feature from Umbrella. This is supposed to be Region B because it does say Region B on it, but it plays in my Xbox One here in Canada. So, yay me. Really happy it does that. Let's check out the disc before I ramble too much about these things. There's the disc there. So, let's talk about this one first. This has the actor Edward John Stazak. He's mostly a kickboxer, but he has a couple of other martial arts under his belt. Haha. And he was supposed to be kind of like the big Australian Van Damme kind of person, but his third film never got made. I think they ran out of money, and I'm not exactly sure 100% what happened, but there was supposed to be a third Panther film with the Jason Blade character right there, and his form of martial arts. And in this film, he is a practitioner of the Panthers, a secret underground society of martial artists that train in a kickboxing, taekwondo, karate style of martial arts. And they're supposed to be the best, like some of the best martial artists out there. And they go and do missions and things like that, I think, for the government or certain agencies. One of their members, his female colleague, she infiltrates this factory or kind of industrial zone and runs into this gang, and they beat her up. I don't know if they kill her or not, but they definitely leave her worse for wear at the very least. And pretty much Edward John Stazak's character, Jason Blade, kind of reminds me of the Black Sabbath song Johnny Blade. But anyways, very, very comic book sounding name, has to go kind of investigate her murder or her assault, and kind of starts trying to work for the gang that did this to them so he can work his way up the chain and shut it down from the inside. It's a pretty typical action martial arts type of film, and the mention of a panther, like the title, is very brief at the very beginning and kind of just explains that that's the type of martial artists and dojo that's run for this, just to kind of set up why he's so good at martial arts and kind of a one-man army. And then that's it. It doesn't touch on their society or their dojo again. It doesn't get into where they train or how they train or anything like that, or what makes them super duper special, or what kind of art specifically it is, I don't think. That's kind of what makes these things so interesting, is their title is very cool sounding and makes you think there's going to be sort of a comic booky type of martial arts film, but it's not, except for his name being Jason Blade. The bad guys all kind of wear these generic sort of Spirit Halloween masks. Some of them are skulls, some of them are hockey masks, some of them are other things. Same with the sequel, Strike of the Panther. Instead of the gang having typical streetwear or like wife beaters in the masks, now they've got ninjas in full black garb and their hoods up, and then they have these Jason Voorhees looking masks, spray painted all different kinds of colors, and now that's the upper echelon part of the gang. So we went from street thugs with Spirit Halloween masks now to ninjas with spray painted, stylized Jason Voorhees looking hockey masks. So yeah, would I recommend this to anyone besides it being kind of obscure and mid-70s type of stuff? Not really, but I found it intriguing. The reason why I found this intriguing was because it was suggested to me through Google because of the next film here. All right, so the reason why I got on this kick was because I was on a Gary Daniels film kind of obsession for a bit mid last year, and I've been tracking this film down the best I could. And this isn't the cover I like the best, but this is White Tiger, and it has nothing to do with the film. The title has nothing to do with Gary Daniels' character. It has nothing to do with Cari-Hiroyuki Tagawa's clan. Like, Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat is the leader of this gang in this, and it has nothing to do with his clan. The tiger symbol or T symbol in there, I don't even know if it stands for tiger. It's weird. It's a very intriguing title with nothing to do with the film. Pretty much, Gary Daniels is doing the same thing as Edward John Stazak. He knows martial arts, he's a cop or works for the police, and he's trying to investigate this gang and take them down. His partner in this ends up getting shot, and that kind of like escalates his need or want for revenge and to take these guys down. And eventually he kind of falls for this female assassin in this that's related to the gang. It's not the best film, but it's definitely one of Gary Daniels' best films. So if you're looking for somewhere to start in Gary Daniels' filmography, find a way to watch White Tiger if you can. It might be on Prime or it might be on Tubi or something. There's a lot of Gary Daniels films on Tubi. Yeah, this copy though, I was not expecting to work. I was fully expecting to just get a physical copy in my collection that would just sit on my shelf, because it's a PAL format for one, and it's definitely not region 1. PAL, that format, as far as I'm aware, isn't supposed to work in DVD players in North America or Canada, and I definitely wasn't expecting it to work in an Xbox One. But it did. It had a little weird white squiggly line that flickered every now and then at the top for the whole movie, and it was definitely it wasn't widescreen, it was just a letterbox format, but at least I was able to watch the movie from start to end, and it was okay quality minus the squiggly white line at the top. So it actually played, which was more than I was expecting. So at least I got a playable copy of White Tiger in my collection, and I'm happy about that. I'm gonna have to track down some more Gary Daniels at some point, but they are not easy to find and they are not cheap. This was, I think, 32 bucks. The Strike of the Panther double disc Blu-ray thing was, I think, 35 or so. Yeah, so those aren't cheap. That's those two, and White Tiger is the main reason why I got suggested these two. This was another one that I was not expecting to come to much story-wise or acting-wise, but it had a couple of characters in here that I was very shocked that it had in here. The title of the film definitely drew me in because it was suggested to me along with White Tiger and Strike of the Panther. So we got Tiger, we got Panther, now we got a Jaguar. This is Prey of the Jaguar. Maxwell Caulfield is the main guy in this. No, he doesn't ever look like a Jaguar. He never gets animal powers. He does call himself the Jaguar, so I'll give him that. His name does have a reason for being in this movie and relates to the title, but that's it. He doesn't look like a Jaguar. He doesn't get Jaguar powers. It's nowhere near as cool as the front cover is suggesting. That is what he ends up more looking like. His son draws this comic booky looking SWAT guy with shoulder pads and stuff and night vision, and that's what his character ends up looking like. He doesn't have special powers. The only thing he has going for him is he trains with this martial arts master. It's kind of like the guy from the Bloodsport series, Master whatever his name in it, like the Kickboxer series. He finds a master of martial arts and they train him for a bit. Nowhere near, as long of training as you would need to actually fight a legion of bad guys or a whole gang kind of thing. I think they allude to him training for maybe a month at most, but that's it. And I mean, I guess he's a cop or works for the police, and he's got some sort of like espionage thing going on. I don't see him being able to take on a whole gang. That's not the point though. These things kind of present themselves as types of martial arts meets superhero type of films. Like they present that way, but they definitely aren't. And they're not the best films in the world. I don't know why I'm trying to impress upon you that you should check these films out so much, but I found them very intriguing. They're very obscure, and the only reason I would have found them is because I was looking for the White Tiger with Gary Daniels. I feel like I stumbled on a hidden gem, but not really. It's like forgotten B-movie trash, but if you're a martial artist or if you like superhero films, these will probably intrigue you a little bit. This is the most recent one, by the way. This is from 1996. White Tiger, I think, came out in 92 or so. I don't remember, but that's when that came out. This one came out in 96. This is the 2007 Echo Bridge home entertainment release. The last thing to talk about Prey of the Jaguar, though, is that it has Linda Blair plays a detective in this, so that's kind of neat. If you're a big fan of Linda Blair from movies like Savage Streets or The Exorcist and stuff like that. But it also has, I don't know his name, I'll put it here with his face probably, but it also has the actor that plays Kano from the first Mortal Kombat movie. Just weird choice for characters, and he's like the main bad guy in this, and he's definitely bad. He shoots people straight in the face, so you know he's a bad guy. But he talks with that Kano Australian Aussie accent. Very interesting that he popped up in this and definitely made the movie way more interesting for me. And then of course the secret cameo by Linda Blair as the detective popping up in here, pretty neat as well. So yeah, I would say out of all three of these films, technically four, this is probably the best one. So weird too, though. It's one of the most weird ones and kind of eccentric, but maybe that's part of its charm. Long story short, if you ever stumble across White Tiger by Gary Daniels, because maybe you're into Gary Daniels for whatever, this has Gary Daniels in it, but it also has Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. And then this, Prey of the Jaguar, has Kano from Mortal Kombat plus Linda Blair in it. And this from the 70s is kind of a precursor from Australia that tried to be the next Van Damme in a way, but then they for whatever reason did not work out. I'm gonna have to research a little bit more, figure out why. I read about it when I first picked this film up and first tried to watch it. Good luck finding a DVD copy of either of these films for a decent price. I would just go on eBay and get the double disc Blu-ray version of this for $35 or whatever Canadian. If you're from the US, it might just be pretty cheaper actually. And I don't know how much the shipping was, but yeah, very interesting, not very awesome films. These aren't something to write home about. These aren't going to be your new favorite films by any means, but the titles were very intriguing. They're very animal themed: Panther, Tiger, Jaguar. They kind of inspire a superhero-ish sounding type of martial arts film. They definitely caught my attention. Not films that anyone's going to talk about, especially Prey of the Jaguar or The Day of the Panther. Two films. You might hear someone talk about White Tiger because of Gary Daniels, but that's it. And even then, I'd be very shocked to hear anyone talk about Gary Daniels in the 2000s. That's it. That's my spotlight on these three films. They're not awesome. I'd say they're like maybe 5 or 6 out of 10s at most, but I found them each intriguing for their own reason. They're very odd titled films that kind of allude to a lot more than what they really are. I'm glad that I finally have all three in my collection, technically all four. I don't want to be the only one who's seen these films and know about these films, so please go check out Prey of the Jaguar and Day of the Panther. And if you like Gary Daniels and you're a fan of Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat's work, I'm not going to say his name, Cari, then maybe check out White Tiger as well for that reason, because he's the bad guy in it. And he sort of has that Shang Tsung sounding voice. Out of all of them, check out, if you can find a copy somewhere, of Prey of the Jaguar. Linda Blair and Kano's in it. Very interesting, very weird, action-y superhero film that no one's talking about. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. This has been The Sharp Hand Path. And until next time, Shei, Na Shin, and one on.
We should run. We should hide. We should kick their butt.